Agent Samantha Thompson was beginning to believe in ghosts. Not in the literal sense, but in the ghosts of bad decisions past, the spectres of buried data trails that resurfaced to haunt her. The Lazarus Resurrection Project had been that kind of ghost. It became a twisted secret she'd helped conceal, rationalized with, for the war effort. Even when she saw her first resurrected soldier, and it looked at her with those unnervingly intense eyes, she remained loyal to the cause. And now it had come roaring back into her meticulously ordered existence. Her orders were brutally simple. Find the leak. Silence it at all costs. Simple, until she realized that wasn't just some opportunistic smuggler or foreign agent profiteering off Federation desperation. This leak was a precision cut, a weapon wielded by someone, or something, with a chilling understanding of the inhuman image they were painting. Each intercepted transmission, each recovered data fragment, solidified her terrifying theory. The leaks weren't about military tactics or stolen tech. They painted a starkly different image of the much-heralded Lazarus Project. These weren't reports of heroic victories, but carefully curated glimpses into the industrialized horror of its creation. The fear in the eyes of the recruits as they were strapped in for their first death. The unnatural way their mangled bodies mended. Even the emptiness in the gaze of those abominations from Phoenix Squad. She'd seen enough leaked horrors to make veteran operatives flinch. The chatter that reached even the highly sanitized data streams of Federation Command were growing louder. The Dithilian experiments, twisted echoes of the Lazarus Project. Krellian black markets abuzz with rumors, not of the Federation's invincibility, but of its monstrous desperation. Someone was orchestrating this. Someone with a horrifyingly accurate understanding of how the galaxy would react not to the Federation's military strength, but to the unnatural spectacle of its resurrected troops. This was a war of perception, and they were losing badly. The question that gnawed away at Samantha's carefully cultivated loyalty wasn't who. It was why. What force stood to gain from turning the Federation not into a defeated enemy, but a malicious pariah no one would dare ally with? When it came, the breakthrough wasn't a data trace or some intercepted code cracking. It was piecing together fragments from the fringes, smugglers' rumors, a shell corporation registered on a backwater world, and a data spike originating from a desolate planetoid. Even most seasoned smugglers avoided. When it became agonizingly clear, the pattern was one she had been trained to fear. Trained to hunt down at any cost, the Shadow Weavers. A clandestine organization, the stuff of old wives' tales and half-forgotten intelligence briefings. They were the ultimate boogeymen who were masters of information and manipulation, and supposedly were non-existent. Yet, here they were, their tendrils wrapped around the Federation's greatest strategic blunder. It should have terrified her. Instead, Samantha felt a chilling sort of relief. There was a plan behind the chaos, a guiding hand far more dangerous than any opportunistic profiteer. Because that meant there was someone you could, just maybe, bargain with. Someone who might understand the existential threat that was brewing. At that moment, the loyal Federation agent Samantha Thompson took the first step into treason. She sent not a report back to her superiors, but a precisely worded string of code on a smuggling frequency, tagged with the identifier only a shadowy organization like the Shadow Weavers would recognize. The message was as desperate as it was simple. We need to talk. The reply came not over any official channels, but as a flicker in her blacklisted data stream, a communication seemingly echoing from the galactic noise itself. It wasn't text or code, but a set of coordinates and a time window. Deep space, far from any known star charts. It was an invitation and a test. Would she go? And could she arrive without leaving a trace? The journey was an act of calculated self-destruction. She scrubbed her ship's logs, jettisoned identification tags, and plotted a course through sectors known as havens for those who wished to vanish. Each jump brought on a chilling dread mixed with an almost reckless exhilaration. She was a Federation agent taking a leap into the darkness, betraying everything she'd been trained for. The rendezvous point was a gravitational anomaly, a wrinkle in space barely registering on long-range scans. It was here, amidst the cosmic emptiness, that the truth of the Shadow Weavers became chillingly apparent. A ship flickered into existence, not with the warp flare of known tech, but emerging as if it had always been there, merely concealed from sight. Its design was disturbingly organic, making her think of some vicious deep space predator. Docking was less a mechanical procedure and more of being enveloped. The shuttle bay was sterile, filled with an unsettling silence that set her teeth on edge. Yet, the figure that emerged from its depths was surprisingly unassuming. Not some multi-limbed alien, but a figure of indeterminate species, shrouded in a simple robe that concealed far more than it revealed. "Agent Thompson," a synthesized voice rasped. "Or should I say, former agent. You've taken quite a risk." The robe shifted, a hint of a limb, perhaps an eye, glinting beneath the hood. "The Federation is on an unsustainable path," she countered, her voice steadier than she felt. "The Lazarus Project. It's not just a wartime measure. It's a threat to the stability of the whole galaxy." The robed figure remained immobile. "And what would you have us do about it, former agent? Wage open war on your Federation?" There was a flicker in the depths of the hood. Amusement or cold calculation, she couldn't tell. "You're already shaping perceptions," Samantha pressed on. "You understand what those soldiers represent. They aren't just mere weapons. They're a contagion the galaxy will turn against, even if they win this war. And in turn, that contagion will react in kind." A long silence stretched. "There are echoes, whispers in the old tales," the robed figure admitted finally. "They speak of the Kaldathi, a blight upon the galaxy, an ancient empire. Could your Federation walk that path?" "They won't see it that way," she pressed, a desperate note creeping in. "Not until it's too late. You have the influence, the network. Use it. Show them. Make them see." The figure tilted its head, an unsettling bird-like motion. "And in return, you offer us what? Yourself, a disillusioned agent, more leaked secrets. The Federation has little we desire." Samantha swallowed, the words tasting like ash. This was the crux. The moment her gamble would either pay off or condemn her utterly. "The Federation may not realize the depths of its unholy mistake," she said, her voice low. "But there are those within who do. Veterans, scientists, and even a senator. Offer them guidance. A push in the right direction. They won't destroy the project willingly, but if they see its true horror, perhaps they can cripple it themselves, twist it into something that defeats its own monstrous purpose." "True horrors rarely announce themselves," the synthesized voice rasped, a chilling undercurrent slicing through the sterile silence. With a disturbingly smooth motion, a hand emerged from the figure's robe, not flesh, but something otherworldly. It gestured towards Samantha, and a wave of unnatural heat washed over her, setting her nerves alight. Her feet lifted from the ground. She hung suspended, a shuddering puppet. My apologies, child of the short-lived humans, the voice hissed, echoing as if from deep within the figure's hood. But I must glean the truth. The whispers of those implanted secrets swirling within your nanobots and implanted enhancements. Samantha thrashed, a strangled scream trapped in her throat. The Shadow Weaver's power was painful and terrifyingly invasive, as if the alien were burrowing into her very soul. The release was abrupt, her body tumbling back to the floor in a breathless heap. You are strong, Samantha, the figure croaked. And true. Your memories, your fears, laid bare before us now. We know all your secrets. Couldn't have just asked, Samantha managed, defiance masking the lingering terror of that unnatural scrutiny. She half expected more manipulations, a deeper violation, but the Shadow Weaver merely stood immobile. We hail from a time before your kind, child. The alien's voice held a chilling echo of ancient weariness. The old ways, the old magic, they linger. Now, you bring us a desperate plea, a game even your own treacherous heart may falter at. Your federation, it treads a dangerous path. The figure tilted its hooded head, the unnerving echo of a predator assessing its prey. Treason. That is what they would call your bargain. Tell me, former agent, what price do you offer for our guidance? For your treason? I already crossed that line, Samantha replied. The tension in the sterile air had become a living, slithering thing. This was it, the Shadow Weaver's decision, and her own fate hanging in the balance. Very well, the figure rasped, and though unseen, she imagined a thin smile beneath the hood. Let us see what can be salvaged from your Federation's ambitious mistakes.